I held up the pants, the ones that used to cling to my hips, the ones my mother swore were proof I was out of control. Now? They slid right off my body like they were made for someone else. And when I handed them to her, her face twisted in shock. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the fat one anymore. I wasn't the problem. I wasn't the disappointment she whispered about to her friends. The proof was right there, dangling from my fingertips. This is the story of how a lifetime of humiliation ended with one perfectly petty act of revenge. The kind of revenge that doesn't need shouting or screaming, just silence, and a pair of pants that finally told the truth. If you've ever been shamed for your body, if you've ever been belittled by someone who was supposed to love you, if you've ever dreamed of the moment they finally see you for who you really are, this is your story too. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into a moment so satisfying, you'll want to watch it twice. Because some victories aren't just about losing weight, they're about losing the weight of someone else's expectations. I was 10 years old when my body betrayed me. One summer, I was just a kid, scraped knees, popsicle-stained lips, laughing as I raced my bike down the street. By fall, everything changed. Hips appeared where there had been none. Curves I didn't recognize. A training bra folded on my dresser like some kind of surrender. And my mother's eyes, always watching, always calculating, dark with disapproval. We'll shop in the chubby girl section. Not juniors. Not kids. Chubby girl, like it was my name. Like it was stamped on my birth certificate. Like it was the only word that would ever matter when people looked at me. Dinner became a math problem. Half portions. No seconds. Meanwhile, my brother shoveled in thirds, his plate always full, his appetite praised as growing boy hunger. My school photos? Mom would take a red pen and circle my cheeks with a sigh. Such a pretty face, if only. If only what? If only I were less? If only I took up less space? If only I could disappear? The worst part wasn't the comments. It wasn't even the diets. It was the way she made me believe she was right. That I was wrong, for existing, for changing, for needing more than she was willing to give. Birthday cakes came with side eyes. Sleepovers meant interrogations about what I ate. And every shopping trip? A fresh humiliation, holding up jeans 2 sizes too big while she clucked, better too loose than too tight. Like shame was the only thing that should fit me perfectly. But here's what she never understood: bodies change. People change. And sometimes, the girl who was told she'd always be too much, becomes exactly enough. This isn't just a story about weight. It's about the weight of words. The weight of expectations. And what happens when you finally let them go. It got worse after my pregnancies. The weight clung to me like a shadow I couldn't shake, but her words? Those burrowed under my skin and stayed. At family gatherings, her comments became public spectacles. She'd click her tongue loud enough for everyone to hear as I reached for potato salad. "You sure you want that, honey?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with false concern. Remember how hard it was to lose the baby weight last time? In front of my husband, she'd laugh that cruel little laugh and say, "Guess I'll be buying grandma onesies instead of mommy ones." The room would go quiet. People would look away, pretending not to hear. But everyone heard. Everyone always heard. Every laugh from her felt like a scalpel. Precise. Intentional. Carving me smaller piece by piece. Making sure I never forgot, my body was a problem to be solved. A disappointment to be fixed. And she? She was the self-appointed judge of every bite, every pound, every inch of me. The worst part wasn't even the humiliation. It was how she made everyone complicit. How my aunts would nod along. How my cousins learned to eye my plate too. How my own children started asking, "Mommy, are you allowed to eat that?" Then, one rainy Tuesday, something snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But quietly, irrevocably. I laced up my old sneakers and stepped out into the drizzle. I started running. Not for her. Not to prove anything. For me. Just for me. Every pavement pound was a middle finger to the voice in my head that sounded like hers. Every burning lungful of air was mine. As the miles added up, something unexpected happened. The pounds melted away, but so did my fear. My need for her approval. My belief that I needed to be smaller to be worthy. I didn't announce it. Didn't post progress pictures. This wasn't for show. This was between me and the pavement, me and my reflection, me and the woman I was finally becoming. The woman who was done apologizing for existing. The changes came slowly at first. Then all at once. Clothes that used to pinch now hung loose. Stares that left me breathless became easy. But the biggest change? The silence in my head where her voice used to live. That was the real victory. The tailor became my secret ally. Week after week, I'd visit her little shop with its humming sewing machines and pincushions shaped like tomatoes. My size 14 pants were nipped and tucked, reshaped to a 10. Then an 8. Then a 6. Each visit felt like a private celebration, just me and this kind-eyed woman who never asked why I kept coming back, just nodded and said, "You're doing good work, honey." But Mom? She didn't see it. Or maybe she chose not to. Every Sunday dinner, she'd still eye my plate before I'd even sat down. "Running won't fix genetics, sweetie," she'd chirp, reaching across me to take the bread basket away. "Our family's always been sturdy." She said it like it was a life sentence. Like I should just accept my fate and stop trying. So I decided to show her. Not with words. Words had never worked. I needed proof she couldn't ignore. Evidence she couldn't explain away. I waited for the perfect moment, her birthday dinner. The whole family gathered around her perfectly set table. I wore the same outfit I'd worn the previous year, the one she'd patted my stomach in and said, "Maybe try Spanx next time?" Now it hung off me like a child playing dress-up. I brought the pants. Not just any pants, the ones that used to dig angry red lines into my waist. The ones she'd bought me for motivation. Now? They pulled up my feet like a deflated balloon the second I undid the button. I held them out, all innocence and sweetness. "These don't fit anymore, want them back?" The room went absolutely still. Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. For the first time in my life, my mother was speechless. I watched her eyes travel from the empty pants dangling in my hand, to my waist, to my face. Really seeing me. Maybe for the first time ever. In that moment, I wasn't her chubby daughter anymore. I wasn't a project to be fixed or a disappointment to be managed. I was just me. And that was finally enough. The best part? She took the pants, folded them neatly and put them in her purse without a word. That silent acceptance was sweeter than any apology could ever be. Because some victories don't need cheering or confetti. Sometimes the quietest moments hold the loudest truths. That night, I went home and cried, not from sadness, but from relief. The little girl who'd been told she'd always be too much had finally become exactly enough. And no one could take that away from me. Not ever again. Narrator, mimicking mother's shrill voice, perfect imitation. They don't, what? But these are 14ths. Her face, oh, her face. First went pale as milk, her carefully penciled eyebrows shooting up. Then confusion twisted her features as she turned the pants inside out, checking the tag like it might have lied to her. And then, horror. Real, dawning horror as she yanked them up over her hips, only to watch them slide right back down in a heap around her ankles. I must be bigger than I thought. The words came out in a shocked whisper, and they tasted like decades of pent-up vindication. Petty? Maybe. Juvenile? Perhaps. But in that crystalline moment, after a lifetime of being measured and found wanting, she was the one swallowing shame. She was the one standing exposed. And I I just smiled sweetly and said, "Don't worry, Mom. They have a chubby girl section." Some people never truly see you, until you hold up a mirror they can't look away from. Until you become living proof that their words can't define you anymore. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't screaming matches or dramatic confrontations. It's the silence that follows when they finally understand. It's the success they never believed you could achieve. It's something as simple as a pair of pants, fabric and thread and a tag with a number, that finally made her look in the mirror and see what she'd become. I'd like to say everything changed after that day. That she apologized, that we healed. But real life isn't a movie. What changed was me. The little girl who believed she'd never be enough grew into a woman who knew better. And that was worth every early morning run, every sideways glance, every moment of doubt. So if someone's trying to shrink you, your body, your dreams, your worth, remember this: the problem was never your size. It was their vision. And you? You were always exactly enough. Sometimes it just takes a little time, and the right pair of pants, to prove it. Here's to outgrowing more than just our clothes. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been underestimated, shamed, or made to feel like you weren't enough, then do me a favor, smash that like button hard enough to make your phone shake. I want to hear your stories too, so drop in the comments, what's that one transformation you wish your doubters could see? That promotion you earned? That skill you mastered? That quiet confidence you grew when no one was looking? This channel is all about those delicious moments when the tables turn, when the quiet kid becomes the CEO, when the awkward girl becomes the knockout, when the so-called failure gets the last laugh. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because we've got new stories every week proving that underdogs don't just win sometimes, we win every single time. And hey, if you're watching this while eating something delicious without guilt, extra points. Life's too short to let anyone else dictate your worth. Now go out there and make today the day someone gets their silent oh moment about you. Remember, the best revenge isn't hatred. It's living so well that the past can't touch you anymore. See you next time, warriors.